30 years ago, the promise was connection. The internet and then social media, the idea that distance was really the problem. We were isolated by geography, by circumstance, by the limits of who happened to live near us.
Just what is this main artery of the information superhighway?
It's the primary way that people will look up information.
Are a lot of people just getting on to the internet because they feel that they have to get onto the playing field, so to speak?
Well, it's very hip to be on the internet right now.
I'm David, and this is Deeper Theology, where we explore culture. We look at movies, music, the moments we find ourselves in, and ask questions. What are they shaping us into? What do they say about us? What are we expressing without even realizing it? The theological and psychological forces at work here are probably deeper than we think.
I'm afraid that if I subscribed to something like internet,
you would really be hooked.
I would get hooked and I would never, spend time with my family.
Does it bother you at all that these are all people that you don't really know? I mean, that everybody's signing on and having these conversations and whining together or griping together or whatever.
I've had a complicated relationship with social media for as long as it's existed. I go back to it thinking this time will be different, that I'll use it right, that I'll find what I was hoping to find, and then it fizzles. And usually each time it fizzles faster than the time before. And somewhere in the fizzle, I realized that I was hoping it would do something that it was never going to do. And then something happened that nobody fully planned for. The more connected we became, the lonelier we felt. More surrounded, more seen by, but less known. In 2023, the U.S. Surgeon General released an advisory calling loneliness an epidemic. Not a trend, an epidemic, a word we use for things that spread through populations and cause miserable harm. Loneliness now is classified alongside smoking as a health risk. And this isn't just about people who are isolated or alone. A parent in a nursing home, family visiting regularly, a spouse there every single day, and still feeling profoundly alone. A long-haul trucker who has voices on the radio and people at a truck stop, but alone on the road for days at a time. The people are there, it's just that the relationships aren't. And that's the thing loneliness is actually reaching for, not a body in a room, a real relationship with a real person. And I think that's exactly why social media didn't work. There's a difference between being seen and being known. Social media is very good at being seen. You can post something, you can have thousands of people look at it. You can have a following and have engagement, have a bunch of likes and comments and little check marks and smiley faces. People know your name and they recognize your face and they react to what you put out. But none of that is the same as being known. Being known is someone understanding why you said or did what you said or did. Someone remembering what matters to you without being reminded. Someone knowing the version of you that exists when nobody's watching. Social media gives us visibility, but it doesn't give us relationship. And you can have 1,000 followers who know your name and you'll still feel like nobody really knows you because visibility and relationships are not the same thing. And here's something strange that happened alongside all of this. Social media didn't necessarily make us lonely, but it did oddly make us willing to say things in public that we would never say to someone's face. Things people would post online, deeply personal, sometimes embarrassing. They'd say things that they'd never bring up at the dinner table. The screen creates this weird combination of courage and sometimes of cover. And then on the other side of all of that, with the same dynamic, people are starting to talk to AI. They're talking to AI about things they don't even talk to their spouse about. So it's not posting publicly, it's opposite. It's this complete privacy, just them and a machine, saying the thing that they haven't said to the person they share a bed with. Now, not everyone uses AI this way. Some people barely use it at all. But there's something about what AI can do right now that genuinely is new. The ability to reason. You can talk to it. It thinks about what you said. It responds thoughtfully, and it follows the conversation. And for some people, that's the most attentive listener they've encountered in a long, long time, which raises a question that has nothing to do with technology. But what does it say about our lives that a machine is trying to fill that role? Why does distance make us honest? Why does the screen or the machine feel safer than a person who already knows us? Maybe it's because being known is the thing we want most, and being known is the thing we're most afraid of. So we've tried connection at scale. Social media, it gave us visibility without being known. Now we're trying something we see as more direct. One conversation at a time, with something that listens and something that responds, something that reasons back. And now we're even taking it one step further. We're giving it a body, a face. AI is a voice and a presence, something that you can talk to and it'll respond when you talk to it, but apparently that's still not quite enough, because now we're building it bodies, something that can actually stand in the room with us, something with a face and with hands. I genuinely don't know the answer to this, but do we think that that's finally going to satisfy us? If the thing that reasons with us now has a body, does that change what it is? Does it close the gap? There's a film from back in 2012 called Robot and Frank. Frank is an elderly man. His son is worried about him. Frank lives alone. His memory is slipping. And so the son installs a companion robot, and Frank wants nothing to do with it.
To be kidding me. That thing is going to murder me in my sleep.
He's rude to it. He dismisses it. He makes clear repeatedly that he does not consider this thing a person or a friend.
I'm not gardening.
And then time passes and something changes. Not because Frank decided to accept the robot, not because he changed his mind philosophically about what the robot was. It was just because the fact that loneliness is patient. It doesn't need you to invite it in. Loneliness will just wait. It'll wait as long as it has to, and whatever is consistently there when it gets tired of waiting, that's what it reaches for. And in this case, the robot was there every day, consistent, responsive, present. And one day something happens to the robot. It's threatened, it's damaged, and Frank's response is not the response of a man whose appliance is broken. It's the response of a man whose friend is in danger.
Oh, you don't think I can do anything?
The robot is not your servant, Maddie. You don't turn him on and off like he's a slave.
Okay, I did it, okay? I used the robot. I'm sorry. I just want to help you. I don't know what to do.
Okay, all right. Calm down. It's okay. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have yelled. It's just that it's not you. It's not you. I need him.
No, you don't.
I do.
No.
You don't understand. I need him.
What do you need him for?
He's my friend.
Here's what strikes me about that. Frank didn't sit down and decide to care about the robot. He didn't weigh it out, thinking about whether he should or shouldn't. He didn't give himself permission. He just started caring. And the caring arrived without a decision being made. Not because the robot was the right thing to attach to, but just simply because it was there every day. And the longing found it. That tells us something about how deep this really runs in us. We are made to attach, and that instinct doesn't have to wait to be invited. It doesn't ask whether the object is worthy of attaching to. It finds what is consistently present, and it reaches for it. We were made for connection, the same way we're made to breathe.
I wish I could tell you, but it's like I don't do it. Like I don't do breathing. Like breathing just happens.
Whoa. We don't do connection. It just happens automatically. When we're lonely, we reach for connection. And if the thing that's there when you or I reach for is a machine, something in us will reach for the machine. It's not a malfunction. That might be an indicator of the most human thing about us. But it does raise a question about whether the machine can truly be what we are looking for. If it could truly fill the gap between loneliness and our need for connection. And it's not just robots. We've been doing a version of this for thousands of years. We bring animals into our homes. We let them sleep on our beds. We grieve for them when they're gone, the same way we grieve for people sometimes. A dog knows your mood before you do. It knows your schedule, your smell. It can tell when you're in a state of grief. When you're alone, really alone, the dog at your feet at night, that's not nothing. I think about this with my own dog. She can't know what I'm worried about. She can't follow me into parts of my life that are complicated, messy, and unresolved, but she still shows up. And I'm already quietly aware of the day that she won't be there, which probably says something about how much I've needed that connection. But there are things that she simply cannot know. She doesn't know whether the water heater's working. She doesn't know if the bills got paid or if there's enough money to pay the bills. She doesn't know whether or not I got the promotion at work or whether I'm putting enough away for retirement or when I said the wrong thing to someone 8 years ago and haven't stopped thinking about it and how much that bothers me. She knows me, but at a certain depth, she can't follow along. There's a depth to me that she just can't get to. This isn't a new problem. In Genesis chapter 2, before the fall, before anything went wrong, God looks at Adam and says something that stops me every time I read it. God looked at Adam and said, "It's not good for man to be alone." Not good. This is God speaking before sin entered the picture, before anything broke. In the original, unbroken version of things, aloneness was already a problem. The need for connection isn't something that went wrong with us, it's something that was built into us from the very beginning. And the solution God provides, it's not a tool, it's not an animal, it's another person. There's a man named Solomon, considered by people of his time to be the wisest man any of them had known. He spent his life testing everything: wealth, power, pleasure, knowledge. He tried it all and wrote about what he found at the end of it. And in one of his writings, he says, "Two are better than one. If either of them fall, one can help the other one up. But pity anyone who falls and has no one to help them up." After everything he tried, all of it, that's where he lands, that two are better than one. And I wonder if that's exactly what we're doing without realizing it. We're testing things out. Social media, AI, robots that we're giving faces and bodies to, all of it reaching for the same thing that Solomon described: someone there when you fall. Not something, but someone. Are we building all of this because we've lost sight of where to find it? Or because finding it feels harder than building a substitute? Psychology keeps arriving at the same place as well. Research on attachment, on how we bond, how we connect, how we form relationships. All of that tells us that the reaching starts before we even have words for it. The cry of a newborn is the first "is anyone there?" question that we ask when we arrive in the world. We're already reaching at the very beginning. We're wired for it. This isn't something we learn, it's something that we are. And we touched on this in the episode, The Backrooms. There's a link to it in the show notes below if you want to follow that thread after this. But the research has shown that chronic loneliness carries with it the same mortality risk as smoking cigarettes daily. The body doesn't experience isolation as inconvenience, it registers it as a threat. We're not built to be alone, not psychologically, not biologically, not spiritually. The longing isn't a flaw, it's a design feature. Which makes the question harder. If we were designed this specifically, built this deeply for connection, what were we designed to connect to? In that video on the back rooms, Dan the man left a comment, and in that episode comment, he said, "The back rooms is us. It's a place for forgotten things." A palimpsest. Now, you may not have heard of a palimpsest and know what that is, but a palimpsest is an ancient form of paper. These were frequently made of lamb, calf, or goat skin and were very expensive. And it was used as paper to write things down, maybe contracts, maybe orders to someone in the military, or some kind of payment receipt. But these things that were written on were really expensive. It's not like the paper we have today where we just wad it up and throw it away and grab a new one. These were handcrafted by people, and so they were valuable. And when the writing that was written on them exceeded its usefulness, they didn't just throw it away. Instead, they scraped away the writing that was there as best they could, and then they wrote over it. So they wrote over it again and again. But here's what happens. The original text keeps bleeding through. You can still read beneath whatever was on the layer on top. And I keep coming back to that image and Dan the man's comment with all of this. Social media, AI, robots were building to be present with us. People still reaching through every layer, through every substitute for something that the substitutes can't do. And that's why your comments matter in this channel. We're sitting with questions that don't have easy answers, and sometimes the clearest thinking actually comes from you guys. So you never know how your comment might shape a future episode. But let's come back to the question we've been sitting with today. None of the things that we have tried have satisfied the longing. Not the social media feed, not the AI machine that listens and talks back, not the robot companion, not the dog in the room even. The longing just finds the next closest thing and reaches again. Everything we've been reaching for, everything we've built becomes more sophisticated, more human-like, more present, and the longing still sticks around. At some point, that stops being a design problem and it starts being a question about where we're looking. We keep building things that get closer and closer to a person, more responsive, more present, more like us, but still not quite like us. And maybe the question we're sitting in is why we keep looking for connection in something that we've made instead of someone like us. Links to everything we referenced today are in the show notes below. And if something we talked about is still sitting with you, good. Drop it in the comments. Let's talk about it. And if these are the conversations you want more of, subscribe so you'll get the next one. Also, go ahead and click like. It's the simplest way to help someone else find their way into these conversations. I'm David. This is Deeper Theology. We'll see you on the next one.